Hello, Cancer. Welcome to your May 2018 reading. Thank you so much for being here. I'm super excited to be doing these readings. I was feeling very connected with you guys today. Look, guys, there's a lot going on, and you need to be prepared that you are creating things in your mind that are not necessarily real. There's a lot of weirdness in the sky right now. There's Uranus perched, just waiting, just dying to get, it's like I feel like it's really stuck in Aries, not wanting to move to Taurus because it's not going to really like to be there that much. And so there's this like pent up anxiety. And for you guys specifically, I'm a little bit worried that you're going to be jumping to conclusions without any data or evidence whatsoever. And it's not to say that you're specifically wrong. It's just that there's so much information that you just don't have. And it's going to maybe put you into a loop, a cyclical loop of thinking, and it's going to probably bring up some stuff. You know, we have Pluto going retrograde and Saturn going retrograde in the next like 10 days. And when these major planets start going backwards in the sky, we can feel this huge like kind of movement backwards. Not necessarily movement backwards in terms of repeating lessons, but moving backwards in terms of really making sure that these difficult chapters of our lives, as we've seen the last 3 to 4 years, are really closed out. That this is the end, that there's no more. And I named the title Releasing Ghosts. It's probably not going to really make sense to you unless you get the comprehensive, but there are things that are lingering, issues, people, relationships, failures, whatever it was that went wrong, those things are still lingering and they're still kind of energetically creeping along, sort of perched on your shoulder, kind of tapping you on the shoulder and bringing your attention to them once in a while. And it's really, now is the time to get rid of them for good. And if we can, really get ready for this new era, because Uranus is going to be in Taurus for 8 years. And it officially is a new era, a new chapter of our life. And it's a big deal. And it's one that can bring about so much bounty and so much prosperity if we are manifesting correctly and manifesting the good things in life, because manifestation can be good and bad. So it's going to be important for us to manifest the good, and we need to raise our vibrations in order to attract those good things. Like I said, Saturn and Pluto going retrograde, both in Capricorn. There's a lot of revisiting our structures in our life. There's a lot in terms of our career and just our own internal power as well, and how the world sees us and how we relate to the world. And, later on in the month, we do have Venus entering into Gemini, which is going to give us a buoyancy that I'm really, really excited about, because it's something that we do need. This more lightness, this more excitement, this more like, oh, let's get out, let's go, let's be social, let's go do things. And Cancer, you might really want to do that. I think that could actually be quite healthy for you as well, and kind of get you out of your head and out of this whole you'll see in the cards, some like 9 of Swords mindset here. And then eventually Uranus entering Taurus on May 15th, which I'll talk about in my weekly bumps. And so there are a lot of twitches. I feel like your month is going to be very twitchy and very short-circuity, if I can say that, just because there's a lot of unknown stuff. But I think all in all, once you work through it, it's going to be a very in and out energy. It's not long-lived at all. It's in and out, you deal with it, and then you move on, which is really, really good. So let's go ahead and get into the reading, all right? Thanks so much, guys. Bye. Hello, Cancer. Welcome to your May reading. I don't know why that was so hard for me to get out of my mouth. But thanks so much for being here. We've got the Two of Pentacles that fell out while I was shuffling. Excuse me, Two of Pentacles reversed. And I'm sensing jitters. You may be feeling jittery or antsy or anxious and like really not quite knowing why. It may feel like you can't make a decision about stuff. I think Mercury retrograde has a lot to do with that. There's a Saturn aspect there as well. I also feel that the Uranus hanging out in the last degrees of a fellow cardinal sign of Aries before it moves into fixed sign Taurus, that you may be feeling that kind of lingering this month and like feel it like trying. See, for me personally, whenever I'm kind of sensing, or not sensing, but when we have a planet hanging out at the 29th degree of a sign, it feels like it's clinging because it's been there for how long? Like 8 years now, right? And sometimes it feels like it just doesn't want to change because it's kind of made a home there. And it doesn't really want to go to Taurus, you know? And so I feel like you're kind of getting the brunt of it. I think all the cardinal signs are. They're getting the brunt of that kind of energy of it's just like, oh no, don't let me go. And so there's this indecisiveness, this kind of anxiousness, this kind of avoidance of change or not really wanting things to change. You may feel like it's very difficult to make a decision of some kind, or you feel like you're a little bit more disorganized than normal. Like, it's totally fine. It's a temporary situation. It's going to be important for you to be very, very raw and very authentic with who you are and what it is you want this month, being very communicative. Keeping things in and keeping things repressed is not going to be your friend, okay? Because change is imminent. And in order to embrace the change, which is what you want, because if you resist the change, you become more rigid, and then the harder the change is going to hit. So in order to embrace the change, you need to embrace truly who you are and your true sense of self. And you know, you've gone through so many lessons lately that you may still be trying to figure that out, you know, who you are really becoming, so to speak. Now we're getting the Ace of Wands reversed. I don't know that things are really going to come through for you in the next few weeks. I feel as though things are going to be a little bit back and forth. Like if you're working on a deal with someone, or if you're trying to start a relationship with someone, it is going to be in this very weird limbo. And it's going to be hard to really get your hands around it and like to really to feel like you have it. I'm not sensing a lot of solid kind of energy. It's just like up in the air. Things are fluctuating, things aren't solid, people are making promises and they're not carrying through on them. You might be making promises and not carrying through on them. And it's just kind of like there's a lot of evasiveness going on around you. There's an escapability of opportunities and an escapability of people that could actually quite be, you know, obviously it's frustrating and it's annoying, and it can even add to that agitation even a little bit more. And that's why the more solid you are in terms of who you are, the more likely these outer or external fluctuations, you know, they won't really affect you that much. Don't get married to anything, you know, don't be committed to an outcome before the first steps have even really begun. One step at a time, because those first steps might not even happen with that Ace of Wands reverse. Wow, a lot of reversals happening here. I was like, did I pick my deck up upside down? Nope, it looks right. But look, Seven of Swords. There's a little bit of sneakiness going on. What's going on with you guys? My goodness. A lot of sneakiness, a lot of like kind of underhanded stuff going on. I'm not necessarily saying that you should be distrustful of the people, but rather maybe be a little bit distrustful of the promises that people are making, okay? Like just take everything in stride, take everything with a grain of salt, and just be like, okay, that's fine. Like, let's just see, you know, and if it doesn't work out, that's fine. Things that aren't working out right now, or things that are delayed or put on the back burner or whatever, first of all, it's totally and entirely out of your control, right? So it's not even worth worrying about. It's totally irrelevant. And it's all for a purpose, right? I think once Uranus finally makes that crossover, it's going to be weird for a couple months, but as it kind of settles into its new home and kind of gets comfortable there, things will start kind of ironing out and it's going to all be okay. Seven of Swords in the reversal also tells me to tell you not to get too far ahead of yourself, and also to not allow your fears and doubts to really dictate your actions. Fears and doubts are merely illusionary, and they're merely products of something else that's much, much deeper rooted within your psyche. Fears and doubts are irrelevant, and they are not really the things to base decisions on. I'm not seeing like your intuition is really coming through very strong right now. So your fears and doubts are probably the loudest voices in your head. And that's not necessarily the best thing, because if you're making decisions based on fear and doubt, then you might be making some, I'm not going to call them mistakes, I'm not going to call them that, but you might be making some kind of fruitless decisions, right, that aren't really going to go anywhere, let's say that. Interesting reading for you guys. Honestly, I wasn't expecting that. Wow. All reversals, you guys. I'm even checking my deck. Like, there's more upright cards than there are reversals in my deck right now, and yet the energy just seems to be upside down for you. Maybe that's Mercury retrograde in combination with Uranus working kind of not against you, but just, oh man, it's just frustrating, yeah? Three of Pentacles, you're prone to miscommunications. You are prone to people I feel like there's omission of information here. Like, you're not operating with all the information, that's for sure. You're not operating with all the information. You don't know all the players. There are things that are kind of being hidden from you. And I don't think it's purposeful or malicious. It's just that that's just kind of what's happening right now. I will tell you, I don't normally do the bottom of the deck, but I just happened to see it. All right, and it's a good one, so I'm definitely going to show you, which was the sun. I just happened to be waving my deck around and I saw it. So it's okay. There is a greater purpose for all of the weirdness, you know, and if you need to just kind of stay indoors and to do your Cancerian, more nurturing thing, if you need to get out in nature or do gardening or you know, create more of a home for yourself, that's probably going to be a really good productive use of your energy. Right now, commerce and business, it's just going to be the way it's kind of supposed to be. I wouldn't get too excited about deals on the table or new jobs. Not to say that the new jobs won't work out. It's just going to either be delayed or whatever. But don't get frustrated or discouraged by the delays. It's really okay, all right? Because there may be something kind of trailing in behind that you don't even know about yet. It's not even within your realm of consciousness, okay? So the Three of Coins can be like I said, take everything with a grain of salt with people. It's okay sometimes to be a little bit mistrustful. It doesn't need to be in a malicious way. It's just self-protectiveness. Luckily, we got the Sun upright, Major Arcana, one of the best cards you can get in the whole deck. Whoa, okay. Eight of Swords. See, like, man, there is something that you just aren't aware of and you aren't seeing. Something that you are, like, you're feeling trapped or suffocated by something, and yet it's very temporary, you guys. I don't see this lasting long at all. You may be creating a little bit of a storm in your mind that isn't necessarily real. You know, it's going to be important for you to meditate a lot this month, I think, just because of a lot of the weirdness. And because you feel so out of control with things, the meditation is going to just help you surrender the control, you know, because sometimes the more you try to control something that's uncontrollable, the more rigid you become, and then the more boxed in you become. Look, there is something trying to come through for you that you, like I said, you can't even begin to really imagine what this is. This is something I'm feeling now that is very unexpected and very much not on your radar right now. Like a new place to live, or a new romantic partner, or a new business that you're not even thinking about right now. And yet you're boxing yourself in. And whenever I see that someone is boxing themselves in, my advice is to meditate, all right? And to take it one day at a time, because sometimes we do like to try to push our way through. It's kind of like, and this is like, I don't know, have no idea why this particular example came to my mind, but you know when you take your pet to the vets, you know, and they have to wear those hoods, those like plastic cones that they put over their neck. And then as soon as you bring your dog home or your cat home, they like scratch at it and they try to shake it off, and they're like all trying to run around, and it gets caught on the door frame and all that kind of weird stuff. And they can't get to their normal hiding place. They can't jump like normal. It's just weird. I feel like that's kind of what's happening. But the minute that that dog or that cat just sits down and just relaxes and like takes a nap, it like has that adjustment time. And I feel like what you might need is some adjustment time. That's why meditation, like just take a nap, right? Just relax, chill out. And because the more you try to fight it, the more like, the more agitated you're gonna be. If you're trying to make something romantic happen with someone, now is definitely not the right time for that to occur. Not to say it won't ever occur, but just right now is not the right time. You can't force it. See, and I think you're just super stressing yourself out because of it. There's no need at all. This is a figment of your imagination. You may be living in a state of like fantasy. I'm seeing a lot of fantasy here. There's a lot of like out of this worldness here with this star card. I don't feel that you're very connected. It's this Uranus thing. It's gotta be. Here we have the card of Aquarius kind of at the foundational position here. Like, oh man, you guys are not liking it, are you? And there is trickery here with the Magician in the reversal. You know, there is something of like distrusting or unfaithful behavior, something underhanded or behind someone's back. Now, if you're in a committed, loving relationship, it doesn't have to be with your significant other. It can be with someone else. But I don't know, it's weird. Like you are having a lot of stuff projected onto you as much as you're projecting outwards. Illusions, guys. The swords are total illusions. Be careful that you aren't getting all worked up into a frenzy over something that you don't really know is real or not. If you're projecting that your partner is cheating on you, it's very possible that that's actually not happening, but there could still be something happening, but it's not that, right? Like I feel like you're making up stories in your mind because you only have half the evidence. Like I said, remember how there's information being omitted here. I don't think you're working with all the information. And that's dangerous when conclusions are being drawn with only half the information. Now is a good month to actually ask questions. And if you feel like someone is keeping something from you and they're not going to give it to you, you're going to have to be mindful that maybe they're just going through something completely different than you. But just because they're omitting it doesn't mean that your fear is the truth. Your fear is not truth. Okay? It's not truth. This is a product of something from your past that needs to be healed. And like, to be honest, this is a good month for getting rid of that stuff, right? Or for collecting oneself. Because with Uranus, moving out of Aries, we have Chiron moving into Aries this week. And Chiron is that wounded healer. And for people who have no idea who they are or what they stand for or what they believe, and they have no sense of their spirituality, this Chiron in Aries is going to be so rough, so difficult. And it doesn't have to be that way. Meditation is the absolute key. That's what this Eight of Swords, it's like the dog with the cone on its head. Just lay down and take a nap so you can get used to this new sort of apparatus kind of thing, right? And you can embrace these swords, and you can embrace this sort of mental imprisonment. And the reason why I say you can embrace it is because it is a part of what's making you who you are, but you don't have to be ruled by those things either. A lot of distrust going on, and I don't think it's well-founded. I really, really don't. Another reason or another way to sort of get out of this sort of mental entrapment, because I think it's like a vicious cycle, because it's like all sort of cycling back. See the directionality of the swords coming here, and then this guy running backwards toward this, and it's like this constant back and forth. Like you're spinning, guys. You're in this toxic cycle that you're just creating yourself and creating on your own fruition. I don't really know if any one person specifically, because I'm not getting a person really out here, unless this magician represents someone, a significant other or something like that, who's just giving you the wrong vibes. But even the swords are pointing down to the magician. The Ace of Wands is pointing down to the magician. So the swords are projections. Your projection that someone else is a certain way. But again, I don't think you have all the information. Whoa. This was the one that landed in my hand, so we'll take that one. Judgment. Short-lived. 2 cards of Uranus. Beautiful. This cycle is temporary. It won't be forever. It's not even necessarily that life-changing. It's just a matter of something coming to light and you being like, oh, okay, I got it. Now I don't have to worry so much. And I do think that's coming. So this is kind of the breaking energy, the break-free quality that's going to liberate you from this kind of vicious cycle in which you found yourself. And all the distrust and all of the worry and anxiety is just going to dissolve, and it's going to be fine. And so if you can just accept that eventually, and sometimes soon, because it's actually showing up in the cards, so I don't think that it's, going to be something that's months down the road. It's coming in the next couple weeks, and then you can you can chill out and it'll be fine. Let's screw all these over here. I'm doing the remaining 3 a little differently. We have a lot to clarify actually in the comprehensive. All of the sword cards, especially the Magician and the 3 of Pentacles, which I think are interconnected. And then the Ace of Wands and even the Judgment card. So there's a lot to really go into to learn more about. 9 of Swords always has to get clarified for sure. See, Temperance reversed, 2 of Coins reversed. You're just not balanced, and it's okay. We all go through phases like this, and I think that the cardinal signs, all of them, because of this Uranus moving out of a cardinal, they're all feeling anxious. And it's probably going to start driving people a little crazy and making people feel a little bit maybe too powerful. Now, let's keep in mind, too, opposite of your sign, we have Mars moving into Pluto, which is a no-joke type of transit as well. That's a transit of power, of sexuality, of dominance, and all sorts of things in a sign of power, Capricorn, right? So there's There's stuff going on behind the scenes. There's no need to get worked up about it. And I know that Temperance reverse can be quite turbulent and feel very rough and very bumpy. Super temporary. Yep, there's the Devil connected even here with the Nine of Swords. You're projecting your stuff. You're projecting all the things that you've recently gone through in the past couple years. Like, I feel like it's all coming bubbling up. Look, Mars and Pluto. Look, Mars is the warrior that goes to wherever it's meant to go. Pluto is the depths of our psyche. It's our subconscious. It's the absolute deepest and darkest part of all of us. It represents our shadow or our inner darkness, right? So Mars, this warrior charging forward into that deep, dark, dank place, and it's surfacing all of this stuff. So if you haven't healed from heartbreak, if you haven't healed from some kind of failure that happened over the past few years, it's going to be bubbling up for a minute. Just for a minute, it's going to bubble up. You're going to have to address it. But the fact that it's coming up is going to give you an opportunity to heal it once and for all, to accept that it's a part of your story, to accept that it's a part of who you are, and to accept what it did to you, because what it did to you was make you better, make you stronger, make you more whole, even though it felt like it ripped you apart. In fact, the effect was opposite. Okay? It's going to surface, and that's okay. Especially if your sun is sitting at like 20 or 21 degrees, or, you know, a few degrees off of that on either side. You're really going to be feeling that transit big time, because that's going to be a direct opposition for you guys. Eight of Cups reverse. Look, live and let live. You know, there's gratitude with this Eight of Cups. Sometimes the experiences need to be abandoned. We don't need to fight so hard for success. And sometimes success is found in a completely different direction than we expect. What did I say with the Ace of Wands? This is something that you can't even conceive of yet. Like, I know that you guys have no idea what this is. And this Ace of Wands, again, we will clarify it in the comprehensive, is going to bring a whole fresh face to everything. This is your last chance, because what's happening is Chiron's moving into Aries, and then it's going to be going into retrograde. So it's going to be crossing back over that 0 degree mark, backwards into Pisces again, and then it's going to move forward back into Aries again. So it's kind of a no joke transit that's going to force us through it, and to get us to this point of never looking back. Because right now I think we're all still kind of looking back. This isn't just a Cancerian thing, this is everybody. We're all still looking backwards a little bit, and we are all still identifying with a lot of that pain, but no more. Like, you guys are being set free. You guys are being liberated here. 2 cards of liberation, of Aquarian qualities. 2 cards of the ultimate freedom. And here you are releasing yourself from this burden. So this is a really beautiful way to end the reading. Let's continue with the comprehensive. For those of you who want to join me on my site, you're absolutely more than welcome. And for those of you who don't, then I will see you next month. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.